righty. I'm going to go ahead and send this email about Susan winning that gift card before I forget about it. Of course, I'm using the wrong keyboard to do that, so now I'm going to go use the correct keyboard over here. This is the Sunday winner. If I could type. There's Susan, and I won't say her phone number out loud because I know you guys will start calling her and trying to scam her out of this gift card. It's a big deal, you know. I've seen people scam for less. All right. Really? It's not Wimmer, it's a winner. Winner, winner, winner. Chicken dinner. All right, here we go. Good to go. Let me get my page refreshed so that I can see all of your shining comments and make sure my audio levels are okay. I apologize for not checking that. It's a rookie mistake before the program started. I had them turned down because during the Aftershock using this camera, I have to turn the audio down a bit because this camera is so much hotter and as far as the audio goes than the feed off the KFAB board. And so when I switched back to the board, I didn't turn it back up. So that's what happened there. So audio is good. Thank you, Roy. I appreciate it. Okay, so we got a lot to do today, guys. So first of all, I'm going to throw it out there that I want your questions, right? So if you have questions, comments, anything you want to talk about, make sure you let me know in the comments, and I will catch up. I might go on a tangent for 5 minutes, but I always pull myself back, okay? And I'll read the comments and figure out exactly what you guys really want me to talk about, and hopefully you're still there to hear it. So we've got topics for the Aftershock today. We've got crypto. By the way, I can see my feed popping up and down here. It's definitely a Facebook issue today. I am dropping 0 frames, and I have a perfect connection. So there's something going on with Facebook with the stream today. I'm not sure what it is, but it's working for the most part. If it locks up on you, just refresh, and it usually comes right back. So cryptocurrencies, week pretty much unchanged. Week over week, the numbers are within a couple $1,000s of where they were last week, which is pretty stable actually for crypto. But I learned some lessons on yield farming that I want to share with you if it's something you're interested in. My official tally as of, let's see, I've been doing it for almost 2 weeks, and I have made $150 on a $1,000 investment, or now $1,200 investment. So that's a pretty substantial return for a 2-week period on $1,200. If I put, when I scale this up in my mind, if I put my crypto assets, like my full crypto assets into this, if I were to do that, which I'm not, I could make $400,000 to $600,000 a year at this, given the data that I have now, which is different than the data I had last week. Okay, you remember last week I said, hey, I got a 26% APR last week. Well, obviously, 146 is what I made since the show last week of the 150. Okay, so obviously I've managed to get that yield up a little bit from 26% up into the multiple thousand percentile. So yes, I did, Ronald. I saw the interest changes on BlockFi, and I was, you know what, I was upset, frustrated, dismayed that they were lowering the interest to that level and then wrapping it up in an email that makes it sound like they're helping the little people. Basically, what BlockFi did is they said we have to pay less interest. Now, Finance 101, people use BlockFi to borrow money, right? So you have cryptocurrency, but you don't want to sell your crypto. So imagine you're me, and let's say I have a Bitcoin. And I think that by the end of the year, Bitcoin is going to be worth between $80,000 and $130,000. 80 is like the conservative number. 130 is the optimistic number. 100 is right in the middle, the likely number. Okay? Why on earth would you sell your Bitcoin now for $50,000 when it's going to be worth double that in just a few months? You think? Could be worth 30, I guess, but you think. So instead, what you can do, you take that Bitcoin and you transfer it to BlockFi, and BlockFi will give you a loan for, say, $10,000, and they'll secure it with your Bitcoin. You'll pay back the $10,000. You're going to pay back like a 7% interest rate on it, 8, 9%, something like that. As far as personal loans go, it's pretty low interest. As far as bank loans go, it's a little bit higher than what you'd want to spend normally. But it's all done online, and it's instant. You get the money the next day, and you can go do whatever you want to do. So imagine that you are a Bitcoin miner and you want to buy hardware. You can take your crypto, get a loan, use your crypto to secure the loan, buy more equipment to mine more Bitcoin to make more money to get a loan. You can see how you could scale this up pretty quickly. It's kind of neat. Well, when you pay interest to BlockFi, BlockFi pays that interest back to depositors who deposit money with BlockFi. And that's where BlockFi gets the money to lend with. Does this make sense? So the interest rates that BlockFi pays, when I signed up with BlockFi, Bitcoin was like 6% interest. Ether was like 7 or 8% interest. And there were tiers, right? So tier 1 was like 0 Bitcoins up to 5 Bitcoins. And then there was tier 2, tier 3, tier 4. What they have done is they have made the tiers ridiculously tight. So now tier 1 is 0 Bitcoins to 0.1 Bitcoins. Gets like, that's 4% interest, Ron? I think it was 4%, something like that. Not shabby, right? Then after that, 0.1 to 0.35 gets like 2% interest, and anything over that is 1%. I'm sorry, but I'm taking a pretty substantial risk by locking up my crypto with BlockFi. I don't have control of my coins. If something happens to BlockFi, it's not FDIC insured. My investment is gone. Why am I going to risk that at BlockFi? If I wanted to get a paltry interest rate on my Bitcoin, I would move it to Gemini, where I can get a 1.65% interest rate all day long on as many Bitcoins as I want to deposit. So BlockFi's interest is dramatically lower now than some of their market peers and competitors. I have to wonder if it might be connected to another story about BlockFi that broke a couple weeks ago, that BlockFi, in USDC stablecoin. The USDC stablecoin is backed dollar for dollar with US dollar assets. Except some of those US dollar assets were like mortgage securities or junk bonds, high yield bonds, things like that. They were trying to, the reserve capital they have to maintain for the USDC coin, they were trying to earn interest and earn money themselves off of that, which of course frees up operating capital and allows them to pay more generous interest rates to their depositors. Well, they got called for that. And so now they've stopped doing that, and they brought everything back down into normal amounts. So now the challenge is, what do you do with BlockFi? It makes sense for me to leave 0.1 Bitcoin at BlockFi. Gemini is also not FDIC insured, but I mean, Gemini is literally like the gold standard pretty much for, crypto banking, if there is such a thing. The Winklevoss twins are on the cutting edge of getting things pushed through the SEC and other places. 1.65% isn't great. It's not great, but it's earning more than it is sitting still. 1.65% on an asset that could double in value, makes it a little more palatable. But I think the only way that BlockFi is going to start to offer higher interest rates is if people start pulling their capital out of BlockFi because the interest rates are too low. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pull it down to the tier 1 limits, and at least hopefully that will encourage, if other people do like I'm doing, that will encourage them to raise those tier 1 limits because they're ridiculously low. Or small. I get it that they don't want to pay a ton of interest, because the thing is they pay interest in cryptocurrency, right? So if Bitcoin is going to double in the next few months, BlockFi is saying, we're taking that into account when we're paying you your interest. So we're going to give you, 1% or 0.1% interest or some ridiculously low number, because literally it's going to be 100% more money in 3 months than it is today. So we can't afford that. But the thing is, BlockFi is buying the coin at today's price. If anything, BlockFi is maybe 30 days behind on buying and selling the crypto because they don't pay interest till the end of the month. But you would think that they would buy it ahead. They would have like a reserve of crypto to buffer prices, or they use the futures market to get some protection from rapid price fluctuations rather than trying to do that by paying lower interest rates. So anyway, long story short, I think it's time to pull down out of BlockFi down to tier 1 levels. I mean, and I'm a huge BlockFi fan. I've got the BlockFi Visa card. I'm earning crypto with every purchase. I'm doing all the things, and BlockFi just keeps hitting me with a stick. And I get it. The interest rates they were offering early on were very generous. But these interest rates are not attractive at all. The only interest rate that's still attractive, ironically, is the stablecoin interest rate for USDC is still around 7%. So if you have, and that's up to $50,000 as tier 1. So if you got 50 grand sitting around and you want a 7% guaranteed return on that without the stock market volatility, USDC isn't really volatile. It doesn't bounce around in price. Now it's back dollar for dollar with cash. And so it's a stable coin. About the only way you lose your stable coin is if BlockFi would go belly up. $50,000 there and 7% interest, compounding monthly. So it's kind of a nice deal there. All right, let's take a look here. Audio is good. Thank you. Thank you, Winston. Karen and I are with you at having coffee. Good to see you, Roger and Karen. Coffee and eyes are open. Bill, I'm right there with you. It took me a while this morning. All righty. I wish I had donuts. We all wish we had donuts, Aaron, but it's hard. Really, me talking on camera with a donut, very Homer Simpson. Not very attractive. All righty. Good morning, Alan. Good morning, Mark. Ronald, I prefer the higher interest rates will not make me sell or leave BlockFi. See, that's the thing. Ronald, capital flows where capital is treated well. And so I'm going to share a story with you in just a second about yield farming. I cannot tell you how tempting it is to try to start leveraging this right now. I'm forcing myself to not do it because I still have more to learn. And I don't want to make a bad mistake. Because guess what? If you had one Bitcoin and you did yield farming like I've done in the last week with one Bitcoin, so with $50,000, let's say, in 1 year, you would have $90,000 of profit. So yeah, you're going to miss out on the Bitcoin going from 50 to 80, 90, 100,000, but you're going to make profit on the yield farming. So are you really losing out? When you can just go back and buy the Bitcoin later if you want, or you can wait for a dip and then buy the Bitcoin, because it's going to hover around $100,000 for about the next 3 years, guys. When Bitcoin hits 100,000, it's going to stay in the 100 to 130,000 range, 80 to 130, somewhere in that range, probably until 2024, when the halving happens, and then it's going to go up. It could go up to $1 million after that, according to Plan B. So you got some time to putz around, as long as you don't lose your coin. You can putz with it. But I'm not going to be a trader. I'm not going to, that's the other question. Are there tax implications of moving the Bitcoin? That's something to talk about with your accountant. But I have to tell you, it's risky to leave your Bitcoin out of your control, or your Ethereum out of your control in a wallet that's not secured by you, that you have the private keys for. And paying me a 1% return for that level of risk is just not acceptable. So I'm going to probably be moving some of mine out. Alrighty, let's see. I think BlockFi is also hoping people who don't understand crypto that much will leave their funds at BlockFi. According to their email, Ronald, most of the people who are in BlockFi have less than 0.1 Bitcoin. They said only 25% of the people at BlockFi will see a loss of APY, or annual percentage yield. I'm one of those 25%. So you're saying your large depositors are the only ones that are going to see a problem, and you expect your large depositors who understand crypto better than your small depositors do aren't going to run? I think this is a mistake, BlockFi. I have not actually opened an account at Gemini yet. I just literally, I did a Google search and I said top interest rates for crypto, and Gemini was literally top of the list for safety and payouts. There are other places where you can earn better interest, but oh wow, we're dropping frames like a banshee here. So yeah, that's not Facebook this time, guys. We're dropping lots of frames here. What is going on? Yeah, we're dropping pretty much all the frames. So I'm surprised that you're able to see anything right now. Connect and reset, and then we got reconnection successful, and we're still dropping frames. What is going on here? So yeah, I don't know what's going on with the connection here. This is pretty rough. We may as well not have a connection. All right. Are we still dropping them, guys? It seems to be slowing down a little bit, but it's still not great. Oh, come on. What's going on? Everything was great until like a few minutes ago. It must be an internet problem here in the building again. All right, hold on just a second. I'm going to get my hotspot going. This is great radio right here. Great radio. Alrighty, hotspot and tethering go. Okay, and are we still dropping frames? We are still dropping frames, so we are going to connect to my hotspot as soon as it pops up here in the list. There it is. Connect. We're connecting to my mobile hotspot, so hopefully we'll be able to at least get a signal out then. Secured and connected, and here on a cellular connection, folks. And we are still dropping frames. What in the world is happening here? Oh wait, reconnection is successful. There we go. There we go. Frames are stabilizing. 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 We're getting better. Okay. Well, I don't want to stall too much because then I'll be stalling and you'll be able to actually see and hear the show. So we're communicating over a cell phone now. Congratulations. Thank you, T-Mobile, for getting my data hacked. So anyway, yeah, this is bad. The internet in the studio pretty much took a complete dive. So we are still dropping a few frames, but that's because it's a cellular connection and there's not much you can do about that. But we are much better off than we were before. Okay. Yes, Scott just opened an email attachment. How'd you know Scott was here today? I didn't even say Scott once. Video was good until you discussed BlackFi. Much better. Yeah. Yeah, it's much better now because we're on a cell phone. So I've only dropped 20% of the frames since connecting to a cell phone rather than 95%. 25, 24, 24. So yeah, we're dropping about every fourth or fifth frame here. So we'll try to get through this and get it done. So I want to do yield farming real quick before I lose my entire internet connection here because I know some of you are tuned in specifically for that. So here's the thing. I'm over at gate.io, and they have it's a Virginia-based exchange. They have a wide variety of coins. All of the junk coins and tokens are traded there, right? I'm not into a lot of that stuff. I'm not buying the 1.6 cent coins and trying to flip them for 2 cents. It's like penny stock stuff. I'm not screwing with that. But there are lots of people out there that do screw with that. And I want to make money off those people screwing with that. So that's called yield farming, where you basically provide liquidity to the exchange. So you buy, minimum buy-in is $100. So you have to buy $100 of whatever junk token. And the junk token that I scored on yesterday was TSHP, T-ship. I have no idea what the token does. Something to do with shipping. Literally, I didn't even look into it. I bought it because I had to buy to have that included in my list of liquidity mining availability. I had to buy $100 worth of T-ship and put up $100 worth of USDT or Tether. So $100 stablecoin, $100 of this crypto, and now that has been added liquidity to the marketplace so that it flows out the order book a little bit. And basically you're paid a fee for providing the liquidity. There is some risk. It's called impairment loss. If the price of a coin moves dramatically, you can lose a lot of money. Well, not a lot. You can lose 1% of your capital, 2% of your capital. But the idea here is you're going to make a lot more over time. So the first week I did it, I just did it with one coin, the ICP, Internet Something Computer Protocol coin. And I made $4.93 in a week, 26% APY. Yay, right? Proof of concept. Well, then I started looking into it, and I realized the second week, my ICP didn't make anything, literally zero. Like, well, that's not good. What happened? Well, liquidity follows liquidity. So what ends up happening, when you, as I mentioned, when you go into the liquidity marketplace to do yield farming, you have to buy the coin and have the coin locked up in the liquidity mining. So let's say I wanted to pump one of these junk coins like T-Ship. I'm going to go in and I'm going to buy a lot of it. Like I'm going to take $1,000, which is enough to move the market in T-Ship, and I'm going to buy, coin here, coin there, coin here, coin there, all the way up in increasingly higher bids. And people are going to be selling because, oh, look at the price of T-Ships going up. And then I'm going to take those coins and I'm going to take another 1,000 in cash. I'm going to throw it into liquidity mining. And I'm going to start playing this thing. The annual percentage rate got up to 9,000% interest. So in the last 48 hours on that one token, made $94.68 on a $200 investment. That's darn near a 50% return in 48 hours. That's what I'm looking for, right? Now the problem is, now T-Ship is kind of going back down again. Now we're down, today's APR so far is a 4,188% APR, a mere 4,000. Other coins are around 200, 300%, somewhere in there. Some of them are as low as 100%. So now people are getting out of T-Ship, right? So what happens to the price of T-Ship when everybody is selling their T-Ship? That's right. So you're going to take a capital loss. So the idea here is people are chasing the yield, right? So they're taking all their capital and they're bulking it together and they're throwing it at a coin. And they're getting a huge return. Imagine if I would have put, $10,000 into this. I would have made like $5,000 in 2 days. Whoa, right? And there are guys that have that kind of money. So now, if I try to get my 10 grand back out of T-Ship, though, I only get 8 grand back. So yeah, I still made 3, but people trading T-Ship made a lot more because they were buying on the way up and selling on the way down. So they got the APY and they got to make money buying and selling the coin, buying it low and selling it high. So they got the double dip. I'm not interested in trying to trade. As I've mentioned before, I don't have the patience for it. I don't have the instinct for it. I end up losing money. So my instinct is to cover as many coins as I possibly can with a small amount of money on the hope that they all earn something. In the last week, I've earned $10 on Lemon Coin. What does a Lemon Coin do? I don't know what a Lemon Coin does. Dino Coin, something about dinosaurs. I don't know. $10 there. Buy, I'm assuming that has something to do with buying stuff. $20 there. 10 set. 71 cents since yesterday. And WNCG. Don't know what that is either. $11. Okay. So it may sound pretty irresponsible that I'm buying things and I don't know what they do. The thing is, I'm not buying the coins because I believe in the project or I think it's going to appreciate in value. I don't really care if the coin goes up or down in value. It doesn't matter to me because the rewards that I'm paid out in liquidity mining are paid in Tether. They're paid in USDT. That then I can withdraw and I can use that to buy Bitcoin or Ethereum or to cover another coin. And that's my method right now. What I'm trying to do is I'm earning this money. By the end of the day today, I'm hoping I'll have another $200 of capital that I can use to buy another coin. Because the trick here is all these other coins have 100 to 250% annual percentage rate yields right now. T-Ship had a 9,000% interest rate, and that's what got me almost $100 of the 146 I made this week. So without that hit, I have a problem. Now the thing is, you can go to the finance page for liquidity mining, and you could sort by today's APR. So the highest APR anywhere on the exchange today is a coin called WAR. Oh, I wonder why. WAR coin is at 4,600%. Right below that is still T-ship at 4,100%. DVP, Davenport coin, I don't know, is at 4,000%. And then we dropped to 2,700% at BMON. So let's take a look at Warcoin. If I open up Warcoin, I get a message that says, warning, war trading is currently not offered in your location due to the regulation requirement. If you have a war balance in your account, please withdraw it in the next 90 days. So because I'm in the U.S., whatever this coin does, the U.S. doesn't like, I can't trade it. So I can't buy that coin. That's the only risk that I'm seeing right now is like some of these coins that go like stratospheric in the APY, I can't buy because I'm in the U.S. So I'm limited to only buying the coins that are available in the U.S. Davenport coin, or I don't know if that's what it's really called, DVP. It's a vulnerability platform. Same thing, can't buy it. Yep, not allowed. So sad, too bad to be you. BMON coin. I don't know what BMON does either. BMON. Nope. Yeah, it doesn't matter what it does because I can't buy that one either. So of the top 5 so far, 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh yeah, let's try Mover. Mover's got a 2,400% interest rate, and nope, can't buy that one either. So of the top 5 APYs in the United States, I can only buy one of them. So yeah. So that's one of the vulnerabilities I can see here is, you know, you could be boxed out for days on end. But my method here that I'm trying for the next week is I am buying the minimum amounts in as many coins as I can buy. And then I'm waiting to see if I get lucky with one of them popping to a 9,000% yield like T-Ship did, which is still the number 2 yield on all of Gate.io. It still has, oh wow. The 24-hour volume is only $224. How is that even possible? That's ridiculously small volume, but that's yield farming. So yield farming is literally the, in markets that don't have a lot of activity, they use the money provided, the liquidity provided by people like me to make sure the order books flow smoothly. And so my balance goes up, my balance goes down, it goes back and forth just depending on the market. And in the meantime, I earn rewards. So I only put in $100 total into my T-Ship coin, and I just earned basically $100 in interest payments over 48 hours. So what do I care what happens to the price of T-Ship, TSHP? I'm just going to sit on it anyway. I'm never going to sell my T-Ship. And I'm never going to unlock it from yield farming because it always earns a little bit, right? But the more coins I have, the more chance I'm going to get one of these hits. So what I'm going to try to do over the next week is I'm going to buy additional. I bought 10 set, which is doing absolutely nothing right now. Its APY is like 130%. It seems so ridiculous to say that the annual percentage yield is 130%, and that's awful. It doesn't seem to make a ton of sense. But so anyway. There's your update on yield farming for those of you who are interested. I lost some people, but that could have been the internet too. I don't know. All right, let me jump back over here and check out my comments and questions. Video good until you discuss BlockFi. There we go. Much better. Yay for technology. KFAB needs to hire a computer company. Hey, I'll give them a break on this one. What's the word I'm looking for? It's raining outside, and Cox and wires, and this is Dundee, so all the wires are above ground. So weather could do that. The other thing is KFAB's lease is expiring on this building soon. I don't know if they're going to renew or not. Interesting. So there may not be a lot of desire to fix a lot of stuff right now. All right, I wonder if they could find a good computer company. I don't know. Let's see. Uh-oh, things are getting shaky again. Yeah, we're doing our best. It's the sell, the way the wind blows. You know, not dropping frames any more or less than normal here. So we're still dropping a few here. So let me go through comments. Do you think the rule of selling 50% of a stock when the investment has doubled should apply to crypto? You know, Mark, I have no idea. That's, you know, preserving your capital is important. That's what that rule for stock trading is, to preserve your capital, because then all you're risking are your gains. People have been trying to do this at casinos for years, right? You know, I'm only going to play with my winnings, right? because but there's always risk to your capital, right? And so you deploy your capital and you're going to eventually lose. At some point, you're going to lose. So having some gains taken off the table, booking some profits isn't a bad idea. The problem is, how many stocks do you know of that are going to double in the next 3 months? I've gotten really lucky on Carnival. When I don't trade stocks because, again, I don't have the stomach for it. So I buy a stock and I buy it at a certain price and I immediately program my sell. And it's good till cancel. So like for 6 months. If it hits that price, it'll sell. I've made some money this year on Boeing doing that. But Carnival's been amazing. I bought Carnival way down at the bottom, and I think that stock is going to go back up to where it was before the pandemic, right? So I'm just hanging on for the ride. My wife's like, Carnival, ew. I'm like, yeah, I know, right? But, yeah, their water tanks might have a lot of, bacteria in them, but the stock's going up. People be cruising. So anyway, as far as selling half, it depends on your goals. If for me right now, I've got some things that I want to do, and those things are expensive things and they cost money. And so I'm seeing this as an opportunity, if I can crack this code and figure this out a little bit before the rest of the world does, that maybe I can make some outsized gains for a few months before everybody else jumps in on it and figures it out, and then, not so much. Or this could be some weird little anomaly, and, maybe it doesn't pan out in the end. If it doesn't pan out in the end, I'll preserve the majority of my capital and move on to the next idea. Excuse me. Whew. You're dropping out again. Did you pay your T-Mobile bill? Oh, yeah. I did pay it last week. I saw that bill. That was big. Please give some serious thought to sending out an email to people who would like to hear your thoughts on crypto. Send an email when you think about something or hear about something. Ronald, I hear you clucking. And I used to have a separate blog that was thorschrock.com, where I could put stuff that has now become the After Schrock, and I could write blog posts and articles and things like that. That website is very, very much in disrepair. I don't think I've looked at it in 5 years. We got some guys over at Schrock Interactive who are like, Thor, this was a great lead gen site for Schrock. And I'm like, yeah, I know it was. But, more important things, life, whatever. So I think it's getting a redesign, but I'm not actively involved in the redesign of the website that has my name on it. So literally, I have no clue. I've been pretty much out of the office the last month for the most part. As much as a business owner can get out of the office. So I've been, Parker's been pretty much running the company last month with everything going on with Brian. So Ronald, we have some ideas on how we can do this and how we can do it in a way that that covers cost. That's probably the biggest thing. Sending emails isn't a good plan because the problem is emails and crypto and mass distribution lists and things like that are kind of frowned upon by most internet service providers. So the odds of you actually getting my email are pretty slim if I do that. And then I contaminate my email address or my email domain or my server that processes all of our websites because they think I'm sending spam for crypto. So we got to be a little careful how we do it, but I think a blog would be a good way to share some of this stuff. Then I could share links and I could share screen caps and examples and things about what I'm doing and how I'm doing it so that other people can do it too. Because this example that I'm doing over at Gate.io, guys, you would probably remember I told you about a coin you could mine with hard drives a few months ago, right? The $1,200 that I made from mining with hard drives is what I'm playing with here. I didn't expect to make $1,200 on that. In fact, the project is awful. I'd be surprised if I continue to make money on that. It's possible there could be other apps running. I did fire up the phone awfully quickly, but yeah, the phone is off, or the screen's off anyway, so it's not actively accessing. Everything should be in sleep mode. But I will keep you posted on that. All right, so serious question. Holiday special laptop, guys. I know Logic Brain is going to tell everybody watching right now that you should get the best laptop for your money for specs. But the real world brain inside of Thor knows people are going to walk in and they're going to say, this one looks just like that one. What's the difference between this one and that one? It's the reason that our Ventures look different, guys. You ever notice that we use the same cases for all of our computers except the Venture? Except the $1,200 computer gets its own special case? because it's a $1,200 computer, it's got to look different to get that mental differentiation. It's a marketing thing. That case is no better or worse than the other case we put stuff in. It's just bigger and bulkier and more room inside. It looks different. It looks more impressive. It looks more imposing. It looks like a $1,200 computer should look. I'll tell you what. So the laptop. It's an Asus VivoBook that we can purchase for just under the $14.99 price point. It comes with 8 gigs of RAM in it, which is ridiculous, but it's upgradable we can add a 32. It has 4 on board, and we can add a 32 stick. So we can take it up to 36 gigs of RAM, which we would do. It comes with a 500 gigabyte hard drive in it, but it's the fast NVMe slot, which is really good. But we would replace that with like a 500 or a 1 terabyte or something much larger to make sure that you're getting storage. It also has an internal backup 1 terabyte hard drive in it already in a laptop, which is nice, so that you would have a built-in backup drive, kind of like the holiday special. So that's option 1, and I'm pretty certain we can do that at $14.99. Okay. Option 2 gets a little hairy. We pretty much have to shift to a gaming computer to get what we're looking for, with backlit keyboard, decent graphics, full HD screen, screen at least at 60 hertz. A lot of people don't realize that the refresh rate of your screen is very important in eye strain on a laptop. I'd like to have a biometric fingerprint reader. It's got to be Windows 11 compatible. You start putting X's through these things and figuring it out. I think the next closest computer, our cost was $1,650, and we sell these at cost. So $1,650 plus shipping, plus the time to modify it, let's just call that $1,700. That's a $200 price increase on the holiday special this year in the laptop. We mentioned earlier on the program that we're looking at about a 7% inflation rate in electronic devices is what you would expect to see. Well, 10% of $1,500 would be $150, so this would definitely be more than 7%. It'd be closer to 13, 14%. So I really don't want to do that. I don't think we'll sell as many units. I don't think we'll profit as much off of upsells and things like that if we raise the price of the base unit. I don't think people will be able to afford to add everything they want to add to it. And yeah, the computer will look impressive, but it may not be as nice of a computer under the hood. And so this is the back and forth we have all the time in the service center. When should we add more specs to something? When should we, for example, we can add backup hard drives to any of those VivoBooks. In fact, Trenton in Papillion has been pushing me, Thor, come on, let's add a backup drive. Let's just add it, right? Let's add it to the Gallant, because the Venture is the top line desktop and it has a backup drive. The Gallant doesn't have one. We'll just add it so they match, right? And it's symmetric. And I'm like, well, we can add that drive, but then we got to raise the price $100. He's like, oh. Like, yeah, exactly. So, or we can give the customer the option to add the drive for $100 if they want to do it. We keep the lower base price of the computer, so when people come in and they compare us to those stupid Dell catalogs or the cards on the shelf at Best Buy, that we still look like we're reasonably priced for an entry point, but then we have all these options for you. And I'd much rather have the ability, the a la carte mode, where you can add different things to the computer that make sense for your application. But the holiday special is about being boss, right? It's about having a computer that you don't have to replace for a decade. And I think the VivoBook is the way to go. But I wanted to ask you guys what your opinions were on it. So let's see. On board from North Carolina. Is it getting a little windy? Let's see. Okay, so no comments on that yet. Let me know if you guys have any thoughts on that one. Because I'm really worried that if it looks like the other laptops that it's sitting beside, it's just going to get lost in the shuffle. Like I said, the palm rest is dimpled a little bit differently. There's like a plastic effect on it. Makes it look a little different, but it's not substantially different. If you bought an Endeavor, or excuse me, if you bought an Intrepid and I gave you one of these instead, you might not even notice that the palm rest is different. It's that subtly different. Alrighty, let me see. So last call for questions, guys, since we're having some internet difficulties and everything else. I appreciate those of you who have stuck with us through all that. I very much do. And so my cell phone, it's getting warm, but yeah. So we're steadily getting better though. We haven't dropped more frames. We're still at only 19.2% of 19.1 and falling of frames dropped for the entire show as we broadcast other frames successfully. So that's good stuff. So last call for questions, guys, and then we got to wrap her up. It's okay to look like the other? Okay. All right, so Barb says that she's not bothered by the change in the look at all. While we're waiting to hear back on this, attorneys are drafting up the agreement for the computer as a service concept that we've talked about, I don't know how many times on After Schrock and on radio shows over the last few years. It's finally happening. A lot of things internally had to happen for this to come together, and it is coming together now. But to remind you, or those of you who might be new to the program, the computer as a service idea, which we need a better name for, we'll come up with that, but it's computers as a service. So you're not buying the computer, you're buying the service of having a functioning computer. So the way this works is you come into the service center, and it's going to be restricted to only Schrock Innovations customers initially to make sure that we get everything taking, we don't want to open it up to the general public and have a bunch of people we don't know coming in and being our test pilot program for this. We want it to be successful. We want it to be with people that understand what we do and the value of what we do, and that we understand what they're looking for in a computer. So we want to make sure that it's successful from that perspective. So the way it works is you come in and you build whatever computer you want. You can start with an Endeavor or an Intrepid or a Venture or whatever you want. You can modify it, you can change it, you can do whatever you want to do with it. At the end of that process, let's see here, I'm going to see if I can make sure there are no apps open that are sucking up bandwidth on my phone. At the end of that process, you pay a 20% down payment to get the computer. That's a refundable down payment. So we hold on to that money while you have the computer. It's a 3-year term on the agreement, and your payment is 5% of the computer's cost. In exchange for that 5% payment, you get, of course, the computer and all the accessories, whatever you picked out for it. You get a included subscription to the Schrock desk. So literally all day, every day access to all the Schrock technicians, anything you need. You also get with that the extended warranty. We understand that if a computer is broken, you're probably not going to want to keep paying for it. So we're going to give you the extended warranty. And if there's anything that's wrong with the computer, we'll fix it for free. Of course, the only things that aren't covered are physical damage. If you put your fist through it or drop it in the bathtub, you got to pay to fix that. Number 2, you've also got if you want virus protection, you have to buy the Sophos antivirus. That's a separate subscription from the computer itself. So using the example of our most commonly sold desktop or laptop, which is the Intrepid and the Endeavor, we're looking at a down payment that's around a couple $100 and a payment around $30 a month. And it's a 36-month term. If you add up how much you would pay over 36 months to have extended warranties, Schrock desk subscriptions, and the computer and everything else, you are saving about 25% off your total cost of ownership on the computer. Not to mention the fact that anything that you need to come into the shop for any reason going forward that is not covered by that for some reason, you get that half off because you're a Schrock desk subscriber. So the consumer in this scenario comes out way ahead. Then at the end of the term, at the end of 36 months, you may decide that you want a new computer. But you're just tired of there's nothing wrong with it, but you're just tired of this one. You want a new one. Well, guess what? You come in, you hand in your computer, we give you your $200 deposit back, and you pick out a new computer, you put down a 20% deposit, 5% payments, you start another 36-month term. It's just like that. So you literally will never have an obsolete computer because you can trade them in every 3 years. When Microsoft wants to be all Microsofty and make computer upgrading hard, you don't care. Yes, our computers are modular. That's great. If you in the middle of that 3-year term, if you decide you want to upgrade or change something, you can do that. But guess what? You don't need to if you don't want to because you can just buy a new one when your term is up. So it is a really attractive deal. We're not going to offer it on sale computers, so it will not be available on the holiday special. It will not be available on the ultimate upgrade sale that we do in the spring. It's just on our everyday lineup of computers because that way the math can be easy and simple. There is some behind-the-scenes work we have to do on the website to process these payments and subscriptions properly, so we're working on that right now. The attorneys are working on processing all of the legalese. There has to be a contract for this. You agree to pay us 36 installments of X dollars a month. You agree to put down a deposit. We agree to give you the deposit back. What happens if you walk away with the hardware? We have to define that, unfortunately. What happens if somebody passes away while they have the hardware? Well, we need to define that too. All these different things that go into creating one of these agreements. And then the attorneys had a million questions for me that I had to answer. Is it open to businesses? Can businesses do this? And we're like, well, why not? Sure. As long as they're a business that's done business with Schrock before, it's kind of like leasing. It's kind of like renting. So I could see it being very popular for a business to do it this way. So anyway, and it reduces your cost of ownership. So why wouldn't you want to reduce your, it's almost like a hybrid corporate service agreement. It's a pretty sweet deal if you think about it. So anyway, we don't know what the launch plan is going to be for this. We do know that we are going to launch it directly to Schrock customers first. Exclusively to Schrock customers, existing Schrock customers first. Doesn't matter what you've ever bought from us before. As long as you're in the books, you're in the books. There will be quantity limitations in the beginning. We don't know how popular this could be. This could be like Hold My Beer popular. Or it could be, that was an interesting hiccup in the books. We'll see how this goes. Popular. If it is Hold My Beer popular, we have to slow the roll a little bit because obviously we're building $800 computers and collecting $200 for those computers. Yes, we'll make back the rest of it over time, but you have to have time, right? You got to have some time in there. So we might limit it to X number of units per month, and we'll establish a waiting list and things like that. So expect to see and hear some things like that going forward in the future, but I'll keep you posted as it develops. But it's a really exciting idea. I think it's going to do really well, especially with our existing Schrock clients who understand the value of the service that we provide. The thing we're worried about is, what does the Schrock desk mean to somebody who doesn't know what the Schrock desk is? Or doesn't know that you literally can call and ask anything and they'll help you fix it. I came into the shop the other day and Corby was fixing a drone. I'm like, when do we start fixing drones? I know I've been gone for a few weeks, but Corby's like, he's a Schrock desk subscriber. He asked if we could take a look at it. I can't argue with that. So yeah, we haven't fixed any washing machines or anything like that yet, though. Alrighty, the computer as a service idea sounds like a good deal. Okay, I don't have a handy computer geek to fix my computers for me. At least I'd have someone ready to fix them. Well, yep, this is true, Aaron. You'd have somebody there who could fix them for you. That would be us. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap up this Charlie Foxtrot of a broadcast here with internet issues. Hey, it lasted really great through the radio show, so I guess we can't be too upset with that. Do we want to see what happens if we go back onto KFAB's internet? Maybe they've got it fixed. Let's take a look. So I'm going to plug back into my wired connection, and I am going to drop the